long since to shoot, but we are back. Na leo niko na guest, and her name is Josephine. Atatuambia more about her journey with diabetes, and yeah, I hope like kila mtu mwenye watch atafeel join the conversation na learn something from this show. And yeah, so moving on swiftly, please introduce yourself, my dear guest.
I really love the way you're introducing yourself.
Thank you.
It's so nice.
Okay, utanifanya anxious.
You're such a natural.
Thank you.
So, hi guys, my name is Josephine Joroge. I am a type 1 diabetic, having lived with it for 12 years. But besides the condition, I like being known for what I do. I'm a journalist by profession, and I'm a social media marketer and the owner of Creativescape. It's a social media marketing agency. So it's my pleasure to be here with you today.
And I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Thank you. So to dive into the conversation, nilikuwa nataka utuambie, first of all, what's diabetes like? Diabetes ni nini exactly, for maybe everyone mwenye maybe akona a different perception of diabetes, like asikie tu from the patient like diabetes ni nini, like kwa mtu mwenye akona condition ya diabetes ni nini?
Well, diabetes is a terminal condition. I like calling it a Goliath inside of a David, a monster living inside of me. I kind of gave it that definition because of the weight that it comes with. I mean, the scientific definition is diabetes is a condition where your pancreas produces little to no insulin. And then there's, of course, different types. There's type 1, there's type 2. There are other forms of diabetes, but the ones that are mostly known are the two. So type 1 is where you produce no insulin at all. Your beta cells have died completely. And type 2 is where your pancreas produces very little insulin. So you have to take medication or prescribed insulin so that you can basically boost your insulin levels in your body. But in a nutshell, diabetes is terminal. There is no cure for diabetes, whether it's type 1 or type 2. But type 2s get to a point of remission where they don't necessarily need to depend on medication or insulin as long as their lifestyle is intact, like it's managed. For type 1, you're insulin dependent for life. And that's the one I have.
You ndio uko nayo type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
Okay, so question, like kuna a specific cause for diabetes ama like ni mostly genetic? Like I'm trying to understand, like ni pancreas ime stop kuwork all of a sudden ama ni kitu yenye ime cause pancreas stop kuwork?
So for type 1, inakwanga caused mostly, no, it's actually cause of the genetics for type 1, but the source of it has never been discovered. And of course, we've all tried to do research. Maybe this is something doctors can bear me witness. It's something they've actually tried to discover the source or the root cause, and they haven't yet found one. All we know is that it's inherited. It's something that just comes in your body and then it's discovered or diagnosed. For type 2, it's mostly lifestyle. So it's something,
okay.
Yeah.
So type 2 ni lifestyle.
Yeah, type 2 ni lifestyle. Either uko overweight or you're eating badly, or there's a lot of stress involved in your life to a point that now you get to either pre-diabetic, or pre-diabetic is basically where your sugars are misbehaving. They're a bit higher than normal, but they're not yet to a point of diabetes. So then type 2, when you get to pre-diabetes and it's not diagnosed or treated early, then you can easily now transition to type 2.
Okay, so basically type 2 ni kama like lifestyle yako ime overwork your pancreas.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
so.
Exactly.
Okay, so so what are some of the symptoms of diabetes? Na ni gani wali experience?
Oof. Good one. Symptoms, I think I would start with, I want to think back to the very first symptom I got. By the way, for those who don't know, Getty and I attended the same high school. So she's pretty much aware of what I experienced with my condition back in high school. I don't know if this is going to answer a question I'm not supposed to answer yet.
Able to be too scared. But wait, unafaa tupe pia your journey with diabetes. So maybe unaweza ziunganisha utuambie zote mbili ama?
Okay, let me just go with it then. Yeah. So I got diagnosed with diabetes in Form 1. That's in 2013. I was 15 years old in October. So I remember before October, wait, was it October? Because I remember it kind of happened a time before we went for midterm. Nakumbuka ilikuwa, hey, I experienced hell, bro. What? The symptoms were really crazy, but that time I had no knowledge of what diabetes was. I didn't know what it was. My family members didn't exactly know what it was. They knew that my granddad had type 2 diabetes and he died from it. May his soul rest in peace.
Alikuwa na type 2.
Yes.
But inherit type 1.
Yeah. So that
It's
connection,
possible.
yes, it's very much a possibility. So that's the connection we try to figure out, like, okay, what happened? How come he had type 2 and then I'm developing type 1? So that is mostly medical side. All I know is that I got it from him. So I feel like all these signs, before, when I came to, I used to study in Uganda. Then I came back to Kenya in 2012, started my Form 1 studies in 2013. And that 2013 is when I got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. So I feel like the symptoms, the signs and symptoms started a bit earlier, and something must have triggered the gene. The gene was always inside me, but something triggered it within that period. So the first signs I got, I think, was extreme urination and extreme hunger. Those were the two. Yes. No. Because I remember I experienced those signs and symptoms for at least a good 2 months. A good 2 months before we went for midterm, and then I had to be taken to the hospital because I had lost a lot of weight. I looked like a skeleton. I looked so pale. I looked like I was dying, like I was a walking dead. So the first symptoms I got were those two. Those two were the highlight, because they're the ones I remember being so loud. I would eat quite a lot. I would urinate like I can't even count how many times. Almost every 20 minutes I would go to the toilet. I had like this bottle. It reached a point where I had a bottle, like I want to say 20 liters, that would be a lie. 10 liters close to me in class, because every single time I wanted to drink water. When the classes were going, whenever I would want to just drink water. Tumbo ilikuwa inakaa niko na kuwasha koo. But I would still feel hungry. I'm so skinny, but my stomach is big, but I'm still so hungry, I'm still so thirsty, and I keep peeing, I keep feeling tired. I think that's the third symptom I started experiencing. I kept feeling so much exhaustion. Beyond that, I don't remember any symptoms or signs.
So ulikuwa na copaje, because like from what I remember, like high school yetu haikuwa easy at all. So like hawezi enda loo after every 20 minutes. Hawezi sema like uko tired, unataka tu kurest. So ulikuwa na copaje?
By the grace of God, honey. I can't even tell you how I did it. Because nakumbuka, no, the thing is, I didn't know I had a problem. I thought it was just
normal.
Okay, I knew there was something off, because I knew for sure that was not normal. But with diabetes, the thing with diabetes, you won't exactly experience pain, like physical pain. You will get, of course, the headaches because of the imbalance in your body. You're overstimulated because of overdrinking, eating vibaya. There's a lot happening in your body. So, but the headaches nikaona ni kawaida, nikaona kama ni kitu kawaida. Kupi nilikuwa naona maybe ni vile nakunywa maji mingi. Kumbe hata kukunywa maji mingi ni juu ya shida nyingine. But I didn't know that. Every time I would go to the school nurse, the best she could do was give me painkillers.
So painkillers juu ya kupi sana ama for the headache. Like ulikuwa
for the headache, ni headaches. Because mimi nilikuwa naona kupi, there's no problem with peeing or eating a lot. I thought my appetite was just high. And I was like, okay, but nilianza kunotice kuna shida because nilikuwa nasimama nje ya D-hall na sahani naambia mabishto wangu badala ya kutupa hiyo sunike kwa sahani. So I would almost always be the last one to
leave. Food then unasema uwekewe kitu.
It wasn't even enticing. Oh my lord.
Like you know ingekuwa like a big symptom jumi. Ingekuwa like bro, ini nashinda nikiitisha.
Kuna time nilikuwa nimeweka githeri kwa kikombe nikule ka popcorn class during na inaitwa nini? Hizi sessions za usiku.
Remedial.
Yes. I would actually carry in my cup.
My Lord.
I know. And then chai nilikuwa na make sure na kunywa mingi. Tukienda kukunywa breakfast, I would make sure I'm taking a lot of tea. Like, I was always looking forward to eating. Like hata nikiwa classes nilikuwa shida nikiangalia saa hivi.
But hiyo pia ina sound so wrong considering like hauko na enough insulin ya kudigest chenye unakula, si ndio?
So it was all just destroying my body. It wasn't helping my
like,
body.
Only happen kukua skinny.
Yeah, because the idea around diabetes is there is insulin is a key that basically opens the door for glucose to enter your cells. Your cells are what perform basic body functions. So they help you grow. They help your organs stay, doing what they're supposed to be doing. Without insulin, this glucose is not entering your cells, meaning your cells are starved. You're eating every day, but you look like someone who hasn't eaten in 2 months because there's no food entering your cells. Hence, they kukonda, unakaa ni kama uko a zombie, you look like you're so skinny because ideally you have not eaten for 2 months. Ideally.
Okay, na pia like the school nasa ku notice hizo symptoms.
No,
like
she didn't.
Aku notice pia unakuwa skinnier.
No, she didn't. She wasn't paying that much attention, and I don't blame her. I mean, of course, they usually have a lot.
I blame her.
You and my mom.
I end up kukua fired.
For real?
Yeah, after I'm talking.
No way.
But, okay, it's story off camera, but
okay, nikiambia my mom, she'll actually be happy. My mom always blames the nurse. She got so mad.
Like responsible juu ukiwa skinny like si anafaa ku notice.
Yeah.
Kwa headaches ndo zinafanya tena unakuwa skinny.
No. Alafu I visited her quite frequently. A lot. Like that should have been a sign. By the third time angekuwa like, na by the way umekuja kuniona sana. Is everything okay? There should be those precautions, like they know when a student comes like this number of times, there's a problem somewhere. They should have some measures somewhere that wanasema huyu acha tumpeleke hosi ni kama kuna shida nyingine. But she never did that. I could have easily died. Kasi hiyo break ya midterm, niko sure ningededi. Because nilifika hosi and they tested my sugars, even the nurse and then none venye madaktari they keep like this poker face.
Kidogo usiende
sana huko. Okay.
Kwanza mlienda midterm
and
then your parents saw you. Hapo kulienda exactly like your mom alikuwa na tu hivi akajua something is off ama?
My mom cried. She saw me, she cried. She looked at me like I was already dead. Because she had never seen me like that.
You were skinny.
I was skinny in a bad way. It wasn't even funny. But I couldn't see it. Because I remember your time, and so that ujue ni vibaya, ilikuwa really, really bad. Mugweri unaona kwenye ilikuwa. Hiyo siku ya kwenda, before I even get to that, I remember nilikuwa nakosana na walimu. Because I always, in between our classes and their lessons and sessions, I would constantly ask them to let me go and pee. Nakumbuka it's actually the reason I dropped French because I remember tulikosana, hiyo mwalimu alianza kunitusi because niko namuomba tu niende tu pee.
Akukuchapa? Jumi na kuka
she was actually violent. No, she just insulted me. So when I went to alinifukuza in a way that nilisema hata sirudi hiyo class tena. So I went and stayed, nikaenda nikakaa mahali kwa kona ya choo, and then I started crying because I didn't know what was wrong with me. It had already gone on for so long. The freak, when I remember I would wake up like 5 times in the middle of the night. Nakumbuka hatuko tunalala for so long. But I would wake up like 5 times. Kuna time hata nilingia kwa bucket ya maji nikikimbia. I always remember that situation. So I can laugh about it. That time I wasn't able to laugh about it. Because I was running, I was always waking up to run. Na unajua watu walikuwa weka buckets zao za maji kwa njia ya kuamka asubuhi. This is the time I actually fell. Yeah, of course sasa so in the middle of the night there's no lights and you're just in a rush to go pee. Like it was hell for me. So that time when that teacher now alinifukuza nilisema sitairudi hiyo class. That I used to be really good at French but I dropped it because I couldn't even catch up with that. I didn't even want to see her. Like I hated her. She made me even hate the language itself. Not the language but the lesson, the class. And we had a session after that ya French. Kulikuwa session nyingine ya geography ilikuwa left. I never attended that class. I stopped attending class because I felt like nitakosana na walimu nikitaka kwenda loo. So nikakaa tu karibu na choo. So every time I wanted to go to the loo, just go. But that was like a week before we went for midterm. Hiyo midterm sasa, hiyo siku ya kwenda midterm, I intentionally avoided eating and drinking anything. I starved myself of everything, including water. And I was so thirsty. My lips were dry. I was so sunken, but I starved myself. Nikasema sikunywi kitu. Hiyo safari ya kutoka Murang'a hadi bado tulikuwa tunaishi Kiamumbi already. Nilianza kusikia kupii tukiwa Thika. Nikashindwa, Jesus, what am I going to do?
So like kutokunywa maji help.
Nah, it doesn't help. You're still going to release fluid. Like you're still going to want to pee. For some reason, I can't explain it scientifically, but for some reason you will still want to pee even though you've not taken water. So in my mind, I'm like, nitaambia dereva asimame, ama should I just keep it to myself? And I'm so pressed. Nikasema acha nivumilie. Do you know I peed on myself? Venye tulishukia stage ya Resambo.
Oh God.
We were looking for a toilet with my cousin. That time I was with my cousin Diana. Diana was so worried. Alikuwa was so scared because I felt like this is not like her. We were looking for a toilet, tukifika hapo Resambo atupati. Tunaelezea watu wanasema, "Oh, sijui ndo angalia huko, sijui nini." Ilifika mahali I couldn't hold it. I just started feeling like there's something dripping out. I peed. And people around me started laughing. The men started laughing at me. Diana kaniambia, don't listen to them. Let's go home. Because Diana's home was closer. Kaniambia, no, let's just go. Let's go home. So we had to go to Diana.
Literally kulikuwa na watu wamesimama kucheka.
Yeah. I think that's also what made Diana feel emotional, and she was trying to be strong for me. Because I also felt like crying. Yeah. So she was like, you know what, let's just go home. Because me in my mind I knew there was a problem. Like, how am I even in this position? So kufika home kwao, I took 2 cups of porridge. I think there were like 3 sausages, 2 pancakes, and then a bowl of rice, and I think kulikuwa na beans.
At once.
Oh
my God.
Na nikakunywa, I think like, hiyo time nilikuwa nimekunywa like a jug of water already, because nilikuwa naweka tu kwa glass na kunywa nikamaliza jug nzima. And that's within the period of 30 minutes. 30-40 minutes. Ikienda sana probably an hour. That time,
pancakes, like
zote. Like I was starved. I was so starved. So, huyo house girl akaona, there's a problem with this guy. She called my mom, akamwambia, kuja Wairimu. So, venye my mom alikuja, okay, my mom was worried akalikuwa ni nini shida. So she came. Kukuja hapo, of course I had changed, I had cleaned up, and now my mom was coming. Nikaenda kufungulia my mom gate. My mom aliniona, I just saw her eyes starting to well up. Ako like, Wairimu ni nini? Like literally, I wish someone would have taken a photo. My cheeks, like I had no cheeks. My eyes, venye unaona ni kubwa, zilikuwa sunken, zilikuwa zinaingia na ndani. I was so slim, nilikuwa nimeisha. Like hata sikuwa na figure.
Na bado unasema ulikuwa na belly. Like,
and I had a belly. It wasn't that big, but you could tell like imejaa. Yes, unaka like you're malnourished. Completely malnourished. And technically speaking, my cells had not eaten, I think, in like 2 months. 2-3 months before. No, I think it was like 2 months. Because unakumbuka, without insulin, there's no food entering your cells. So ideally, I'm actually malnourished because I've not eaten for 2 months. Physically, I have eaten, but my cells are dried out for 2 months. They have nothing. So my mama aliniona akasema, there's a problem for sure. Sasa house girl akamwambia ati amekula hivi, amefanya hivi. Mama wako like, I know that's not normal. So my mom called my dad akamwambia, there's a problem with my remote, the way she's looking, and the way
vile alikuwa ameshtuka, like
she was.
Uko that skinny, na unakunywa uji.
And I was eating.
Unakunywa uji bowls mbili.
Yeah. Nafu nikabeba bado chapo, nikabeba pancake
ukulie kwa njia.
Nikamwambia bado siwezi vumilia. Then sasa tukaenda home, and my dad akamwambia, let's just book a session for tomorrow and then angaliwe hosi. So yeah, that's now how we ended up going to the hospital.
Napata sana diabetes.
Sasa kufika kwa hosi, me I'm feeling normal. All I know is that I'm peeing a lot, I'm eating a lot, I'm hungry, I'm feeling weak. Oh yeah, that's the other symptom. Weakness. Like there's a lot of weakness. You don't even get to do the normal things that people are doing. Like unasikia umechoka all the time.
Na haikosi ni juice your cells hazina energy.
You have no energy at all. They're starved. So kufika hapo tukafanywa the normal tests that they do in triage and everything. So kufika kwa daktari, that time I remember in the room, my mom aliwakasirikia because they were not supposed to react like that. My mom thought I was dying because the doctor is right here, the nurse is standing next to him, and wakapima damu, wakatoa blood sample and tested my blood, and they were like, unaona the looks on their faces of like, ni my mama ko like, what the hell? Is my daughter dying and you're not telling me?
Sugars zilikuwa zimespike kama?
The machine, normally zikifika at a point where the machine can't count, zinaandikanga high.
Aya. kuna point yenye study machine haiwezi count.
Yes.
Like iko that bad and
yeah, ilikuwa imeandika HI, so ilikuwa imepita 30. Normal blood sugar is supposed to be between 4 and 6 ama 7 depending on what you've been doing.
So kumaanisha for 2 months ilikuwa that high. Ilikuwa
above. So imagine ikiwa hosi ziko above 30 na zifai kufika hapo. So the doctors really scared my mom. My mom, I think, is on cry. I think I hadn't yet sikuwa nimeload. I think venye walisema ati no, they started off like this. Ati kwa familia yenu kuna mtu akona sukari. My mom akamwambia ati my dad alikuwa nayo but he passed. Kasema your daughter is diabetic.
Before do a test.
They had already tested. See, after those scary looking faces. Yes, and wakasema ati she's diabetic.
So your mom's reaction?
It was bad. Like, okay, she was trying to be strong for me because I could tell like she was nodding and like she was trying to also process it, but I still didn't know what diabetes was exactly. I didn't have knowledge of what diabetes. Not really.
Ulikuwa too chilled.
Nilikuwa hapo, but my heart was pounding. I could feel like, oh no, what is this? What do you mean I'm diabetic? Kaniambia it's a terminal condition. She'll have to use insulin for the rest of her life. That part is what caught my attention. Like, wait, I'll have this for the rest of my life. So now I have a sickness I can't even cure. So I think my mom, when I noticed, sasa nimeanza ku get the gist of what is happening, ndio akajaribu kuwa strong for me, but she had tears in her eyes. Like I think she tried, but she couldn't control fully, but she was trying to be strong for me. So the doctor akasema she'll have to be admitted because we need to control her sugars. We'll need to educate her on what it is and how she can manage it. So I got admitted for 3 days. Yeah.
Na wakakupea like by the time unatoka ulikuanga in perfect health ama?
I was. They took care of me. I remember that time ilikuwa Avenue, the hospital I went to, and they brought me an endocrinologist who was also diabetic for so many years. He was an Indian doctor, I've forgotten his name, but he was really kind and he taught me everything I needed to know about the condition. And he helped me kind of manage it mentally as well. Yeah, so that was the beginning, but I still didn't process it vizuri. I feel like kuna parts, I think I was trying to also be strong. I never processed it that time. Yeah.
So kuna time yenye ilifika ukafeel like ni kama the thought of it inakuweigh down ama what do you mean by how could you process at that time? Like ni when unaweza tell like ulifeel sasa like unai process juu?
I don't think I ever really felt it. I feel all my high school life I was trying my best to distract myself from processing it. And hence the creation of Diabetes Club, which was the best distraction.
Create.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, nice.
I did with the help of Mr. Seki. You remember him? Yeah, so he wanted to help me process it and take it as a blessing and not a curse. And he talked to me about it and he told me, this is something you can turn into a blessing. Do something with it. Don't let it weigh you down. So that's how the idea of Diabetes Club came in. Yeah, and that's how that grew. And people are very supportive. Hey, my schoolmates that time was so supportive because I remember we got so many members, so many people are so curious about diabetes. So I shifted my processing period to educating and informing. Now instead of processing it in a way that I have to sit down and think about it, I decided to channel that into teaching other people about it. That way I also learned a lot about it. Yeah, but I never processed it. I think it's still an ongoing thing.
Like, sidhani like inaweza fika point mtu feel like niko so okay with this.
Yeah.
Like bado kuna part of you and you go like, wow, I wish like
yeah. Yes, it's really weird because they usually say that it starts with acceptance. But I think you just learn to live with it. I don't know if that's the definition of acceptance, but you have no choice. I can't just sit down and decide I'm not going to inject myself with insulin anymore. I'll die. I mean, I've done that before. I've gone a whole week without using insulin for reasons I'll share ahead. And I ended up in the hospital because of it. So it's not a choice.
I'll come to that.
Yeah.
I feel like hiyo ni a very lengthy topic.
Yeah.
Ndio maana kwanza nimehave kukuuliza kama uko willing kuiongelelea before to shoot.
Yeah.
But Okay, to move on kwanza juu bado like niko so eager kufika kwa hiyo part.
Okay.
Anyway, so umetuambia vile uli realize uko na diabetes na your journey. So the next question ilifaa kuwa like familia yako iko supportive kwa hii journey ama like sometimes una feel like uko peke yako kwa the journey, like una feel aje exactly about your support system?
I will say this independently for both. Number one, I always feel alone. Because diabetes is not just about someone calling to ask you if you're okay. Diabetes is not just about the once in a while checkups where someone is concerned about what you're eating. This is a disease I'm living with every day. It dictates my life every day. I can't stop obsessing over it. Like every morning, I inject myself insulin 4 times a day. I have to test my sugars at least 3 to 4 times or 5 times to make sure that I'm in the right range. And that involves finger pricking. Like you're always on injections and pricking, and you have to constantly check. You're like, today, size ziko 20. I need to drink a lot of water to reduce. Remember, when they go high, you experience signs and symptoms. That's headaches, dizziness, confusion, irritability, all these things. You're experiencing diabetes as a full-time job while still living life full-time like every other human being. Most of the time I'm going to feel alone, especially when I'm experiencing the signs and symptoms of hyperglycemia, hypoglycemia. When I'm in the house alone, I'm going through something, my sugars get affected. So it's mostly an alone, it's like a solo journey most of the time. But on the side of my support system, they've been very supportive. My family is supportive in the best way that they know how. My friends are supportive in the best way they know how. And I love that they do try a lot to be there for me, especially my close ones, the likes of you, the likes of Mercy, Eunice, my girls, even my boss actually.
I'm a bit curious.
Yeah.
Like, kama una feel like uko na a strong support system, but bado una feel like uko on this journey alone, like ina affect your mental health ama like ebu like na try kuuliza,
yeah,
mental health yako iko affected by the fact that unafikiria uko on this journey alone?
Yes, but remember, I haven't quite processed the whole diabetes thing visually. I avoid it up to date. I still avoid it. I'm not at a point where I've I would fully say that this is something I'm okay living with. I know I'm living with a monster inside me, and I've accepted that there's that. But am I warming up to the idea of being diabetic and having to deal with it every single second of every single day of the rest of my life? Not really. So I'm the type of person, I've always been this, even before I was diagnosed with diabetes. I don't know how to ask for help. I don't know how to tell someone I'm going through something and I need help. I will go through it alone, and I will push through it alone. So unless somebody reads into me and then comes in and helps where they feel that they can, I will not say anything. So I'll go through it alone. So I think it has more to do with me than my support system. So I can put that on them. Yeah.
Okay, so basically, tuko kwa the next question. Tuko kwa the next question yenye nilikuwa nimesave for last. Umekuwa kwa ICU twice. Na hii ni kitu yenye bado niko na beef nayo na wewe.
I know, I'm sorry.
Umekuwa kwa ICU 2 times.
Yeah.
Both times uko naishi far away from us. Like, literally tulikuwa your neighbors. But sisi hatukujua uko ICU until ukaingia ICU, ukatoka. And then unakuja kutunarratea story ya vile ilikuwa so bad. Ilikuwa so bad, you are almost dying.
Yeah.
So like, mbona exactly like una feel ikiwa so hard to reach out to other people regarding diabetes? Like mbona tu si call useme by the way sina insulin na nahitaji help? Like mbona una feel like ni so hard? Also like ni hard to call your friends ama Ama pia ni hard to call your family, like unaweza call your family uambie una insulin? Hadi family.
And then how do you think I ended up in the 1 week with... So how do you think I ended up in ICU the second time around? I knew for 1 week. The thing is, I know this is a toxic trait I have, and my mentor has been honest enough maybe to tell me that it's not good to be that closed off to people. Like, you don't know how to ask for help. Like, it's a thing I need to work through. Because I had people, yes, I could call at that time. In that 1 week that I did have insulin, I knew I could call someone and just tell them like, hey, can you help me buy insulin? I don't even tell you I'll refund. But again, I don't know, I don't want to do that. Maybe not that I don't know, but I don't want to do it. So that time I remember I was waiting, my pay that time had delayed a bit, because there was my pay on. So I was waiting to get paid so that I can buy insulin. So my calculations were a bit off that time, but I knew I'll just have to wait until when Jesus this pay in particular was a confusion I had with somebody, a client that time. So it was a bit of a sticky situation, but I knew I had it under control. At least that's always the idea I have in my head, like I have it under control. So I went for a whole week without, I used 2 types of insulin, atropine and planters. So I went without both of them for a whole week. I knew I wasn't in a good place. I could feel my body shutting down. I tried managing with diet, like trying to avoid sugary stuff, trying to eat kidogo carbs, but remember still, that time you don't necessarily have money, so you're restricted to also only food that you can access. So sikuwa nakula pia vizuri vile, so sukari zimeanza tu zikipanda. But the thing with DKA was, I remember I was admitted in ICU because of DKA. DKA is diabetic ketoacidosis. Hiyo inaweza kuchanganya kidogo. Diabetic ketoacidosis.
Ketoacidosis.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's basically ketones being found in the urine. Then the acidosis part comes in where your blood is acidic. Because now...
So what's ketone?
So ketone, yeah. So it's, I don't know how to explain it. I don't want to lie. I don't know how to explain it visually. I think it's something you can be able to link once you're editing the video. But ketones basically are like, let me just call them harmful substance that is not supposed to be in your blood or in your urine. Yeah. So that's what usually gets to your urine when your blood is acidic, or rather when your sugars are extremely high. So what happens is that when your body is lacking sugar to work with, it starts breaking down the fat that is in your liver, and that's what causes your blood to be acidic. So there's a bit of a deeper explanation in there. Yeah, interesting, hold it against me. Madam Chari, yes, please go do your research in depth. I just know that that's the bit that I was explained to, and my research, nasomanga tena naenda kusahau kidogo, but yeah, it's basically that whole idea. I hope that it's easier to understand. So yeah, I knew that I could reach out to my family, but I couldn't. One thing about me is that I always feel like diabetes is my burden, and nobody around me needs to carry it the way that I should. Like, it was, I know,
and your parents,
I know, and my mom has scolded me for it several times. If anything, if I can tell you a central point of arguments between me and my mom sometimes, Neo was an analyst about she even told me she can't trust me anymore when I tell her I'm okay, because now she feels like I like her. Because at the day before I was admitted to OC, she had called me and asked me if I was okay, and I told her I'm good. But in my mind, I knew I was good because I had a plan. And I knew my body was failing and shutting down.
But kwanza nikuulize, like, uko allowed to go a day without insulin, like considering in a day unadunga shots nne, uko allowed kwenda a day without?
I don't know if it's about being allowed or it's more like I shouldn't risk it.
Okay, so
yeah,
aufai ku risk, sindio, like a day without, sindio. So unamaanisha nini ulikuwa na the situation under control kama imekuwa a week without?
I was like, there is no way I can die with one week. I know. Sometimes I hear myself.
Unajua tunanishangaza ni
Yeah.
hii story yenye unanipea haikosi ni ya the second time ulipata nini. The second time ulienda ICU, si ndio? So already time yenye ulienda the first time ulikuwa learn hawezi kabla insulin. So mbona risk tena?
No, the first time, I think the decay was triggered by a toxic workspace, and also I had my insulin. It was 3 factors. Tell you why. Let me just actually
Ngoja before anze kujidefend.
Alright.
Jumi na kumko ukituambia haukuwa na enough money for insulin.
Yes.
Yeah. So ndo nakuuliza like
Yeah.
your time haukuwa na enough money for insulin.
Yeah.
Uko na journey za call your parents. Ime happen tena. Mbona ukufanya nini? Mbona call your parents? Like mbona bado uliona ni kama uko na this situation under control na like ni kitu yenye imewahi happen tena.
I didn't want to burden them. That's the thing. I didn't want to burden them. The first time around the way it happened is that I had some insulin left, but I never injected. I never used to inject the way I was supposed to because we got able to store. Like I was trying to. So for example,
they
last longer. Because if I was to inject like 14, I would inject like 8. Ndio niende niki-balance. Then of course I was in a space where work was stressing me out all the time and it was just chaotic. So that went on for like a month, and then that's how I think at some point sasa it was. Yeah. But the second time around I knew for sure I couldn't reach that because I didn't want to. That's the thing with me. In my mind I'm thinking I'm going to burden you and I don't want to burden you. So I just, before I reached that point maybe where I'm asking for help, which is still hard. But if I reach that point, it's because genuinely I have tried all solutions I could possibly think of. It's Japata. So that's the mentality I've always gone with. And with my parents, I'm like, I don't want to burden them. With my close friends as well, I don't want to burden them. And I know, yes, they will tell me like, yeah, just reach out. But I think it's my caring nature. Like I'm thinking of not making your life more difficult with my.
Naelewa mbona usi reach out to friends.
Yeah.
Like, according to chenye unasema. According to chenye unasema, naelewa mbona usi reach out to friends.
Yeah.
But your parents, like, na feel like immediately unaona like insulin haitoshi. Unafaa kuwa able to call your mom. Just sasa like ujue ni harder for her.
Yeah.
Kujua like uko ICU than yeye kujua like hauna enough insulin. Sijui unaelewa.
It's true.
Like unadhani ana prefer kusikia gani?
Definitely, I should rather just find a way to help me get in sleep. I know that for sure. Like, I don't know this. Like, I do know this. For sure, I do. But in my mind, I'm like, I won't get to that point of ICU. And by the time I'm even getting to that point of going to a hospital, things went out of control. Not because I wasn't trying to fix things, but because it impacted me in a way that I didn't expect. But I was handling it. Because I remember even how I ended up going into ICU the second time around. I was in my house and I was doing things normally, but I could feel my body wasn't okay. Like I'm hyperventilating. I couldn't even keep down water. Nakunywa maji na itapika. I couldn't eat. I couldn't drink water.
Really? The second time?
Yeah. So it's the night before I got admitted. I could feel myself losing consciousness. Like I could feel like I'm going. My vision is so blurry. I'm not even I'm literally hyperventilating. So nikaanza kujamia acha nilale kidogo maybe jambo itameisha. Kamka na feel no different. So ilifika a point I called Mercy. Now Mercy is my best friend. So Mercy knows me. Mercy knows I don't reach out for help. Ni ngumu sana. So when I picked that phone, I remember nilikuwa naosha vyombo cha kwanza. Mimi kwa jibe nguvu. Mimi kwa nguvu sawa. Kwa sababu najua the following day nitaenda ninunue sleep because nilikuwa najua pesa nyingi asubuhi. So niende ninunue sleep. And I'll tell you how miraculous that situation was. When I tell you God has carried me through this whole situation. He's always looked out for me, even though I never really saw it. And I'll tell you why. But I remember I picked my phone, I was watching chances and I felt like I was losing my consciousness and my body was really shutting down. I've never felt like that. Nilikuwa naanza kulia out of nowhere. And I could feel like, genuinely I felt like I tasted death. I'm not lying. I don't even know how to explain it. It was really bad. So I picked I think it's just my guardian angel, to be honest. Something told me, pick that phone, call Mercy. I couldn't call. I remember I was living next to Rupi. Rupi is one of our close friends. I was living next to Rupi. But remember, I don't like bothering anyone, rather telling anyone I'm going through something. But with Mercy, I don't know why, but in my heart, I knew I could just call her at that point in time. For some reason, I can't even explain it. But sometimes I will just pick the phone, call Mercy. I just did that. So when I picked the phone and called her, the first thing Mercy is getting to me, then hi. I started to feel pain, like in my stomach. In my stomach, I was having a headache I couldn't control. I was losing. I was shutting down. Like I could feel like kuna memory blanks. Like I can't even remember what I was doing. So it was like, Mercy, I really want to go to the hospital. Mercy, I was scared. The lady just called and told the guy. She didn't even want to board a matatu or anything at all about that. She just picked up his Vicky. Yeah, because she used to live close to me that time. So akachukua pikipiki ndio akakuja. Within the next 15-20 minutes she was there at my door. So when alifika tu hivi, out of nowhere those symptoms got worse. Now I could literally just go, like I was closing my eyes. Mercy ananiangalia napata na stress. Mercy as was calling, she was using like 2 phones, calling me anatumia kupigia an Uber guy. This other phone she's using to call the doctor. There's a doctor I used to see at Aga Khan. So he knew my case. So she called him, like, I don't know what to do. Her eyes are shutting, she's closing her eyes, she looks like she's not even here. She's vomiting, she's crying, she's saying she's kind of in pain, she's hyperventilating. Take her to the hospital right now. Take her to the closest hospital. The doctors don't know how to exaggerate. They've seen it all, they've done it all. Like they will tell you, take Panadol, she'll be okay. I'll do this, maybe inject this shot of insulin. Chill. Wait a second, if you can. And this what's your name? I think I'm gonna skip through their voices. Come on, take her to the hospital right now. The closest that she can. The closest that time was KU referral. Because my Mercy called mom and akamwambia she's not okay. You can see she's here. Of course, mom panicked. But I was like, tungoje tuende Kiambu. So the plan was to take me to Kiambu hospital. Mercy akasema hapana, Kiambu hospital is too far. I started KU referral. So the plan was for her to wait for my parents to get there so that they can take me. After 5 minutes, Mercy anaona hapana. Do you know Mercy literally had to leave me in the sitting room and akae bedroom because she couldn't stand looking at me. Alikuwa anapanda like stress ilikuwa inamnini because literally I looked like I was dying. So akaona after 5 minutes akasema hapana. Akapigia my mama akamwambia sisi tuendane na tupate tu huko. Because venye hapo kama she's really akubambaya. So that's what we did. But of course I was vomiting. It was really bad. I never even thought, like it came out of nowhere. I didn't expect that it would get that bad. So when after kutapika, I think nikaanza, I told you I'm that person who also will not want you to see like I'm sick. Na nikifika kwa ile nilikuwa nataka kufaint, it really was that bad. But when we go to the hospital, I was working with Mercy all over the place looking for a doctor who could give me attention. But they were so busy. Your time A&E, I remember kulikuwa na watu wengi, accidents and everything. But God sent someone. I don't even know how that happened, but it was just a miracle. But one of the doctors was in church that time. I remember Mercy only had to say one sentence and she got that doctor's attention. Because all she told the doctor was, I have my friend here and her blood sugar is 28. Do you know huyo daktari? Na ndiye alikuwa anashika kisumbuliwa na watu kama 10 hapo. Alipinduka kuangalia Mercy akasema, who is your friend? Like literally hiyo ilimfanya hata acha hao watu wengine akakuja sasa kufocus on our situation. Those symptoms got worse only when I started receiving treatment. At first, I looked like I was okay. You put it in myself.
No, like this situation.
Yeah.
Normal blood sugar in a like for you?
For diabetic, 3.9 to 8.
maybe spike to 28.
Yeah. So now not just for that time. Hiyo ni tumepima hiyo time. The whole week zimeshinda to within that range in their 20s because there was no insulin being used at one point. Na nakumbuka bado nilikuwa naendelea kukula. So yeah, that's basically what happened. So daktari alisikia 28 akajua huyu ako point of decay. So he took me as an emergency case. So when walianza IV treatment on insulin, is it the saline water or something? The one that is salty, the sodium. There's that one, and then there's insulin, there's that liquid, and then there's water, I think. So, if there's one experience I hated from these two DKS situations, ni kuwekwa catheter. Kuwekwa catheter,
But still necessary kweli, ama like mbona walikuweka?
Extremely necessary because they need to see whether your kidneys are functioning well or they've been affected, because kidney failure is one of the complications diabetics get when they have bad sugars. So they need to make sure your kidneys are functioning well. So they do that by assessing how urine production is. So that's the only way they can do it, to at least ascertain that that's okay. So they had to put a catheter in. So painful and uncomfortable both times. Like, yeah, it was so bad. I was crying actually. So when they started putting me,
Each time sasa uko ICU ama
no. But niliwekwa kwa nini a certain room. Alinitafutia room akaniweka hapo. So that's when they started the treatment. So it got worse before it got better. So when they started the treatment, nikaanza kukauka kabisa. Nakaa niko pale. Now all
bado anakuweka maji na bado nakauka.
Yes, all that was now happening inside ikaanza kuonyesha on the outside. So the doctor was like, oh my god, you're really sick. Imagine daktari akikuangalia kuambia hivyo.
Mteja ameshinda kucontain, unajua alikuwa anapanga so nice.
Oh, you'll be okay. Nini. And I'm really sick. Because I was actually laughing and smiling. He wouldn't say I was sick. I was actually just there being a very positive. It's just who I am. So they told me, you're smiling and you're really sick.
Na Mercy analia iko.
Mercy and my mom were just there looking at me. My mom, this time I think my mom this time was strong because Mercy was there. So she was not as affected as before, the first time round. But they were keeping each other strong, they were following up on everything. They were really, they were very instrumental in that process. My mom and Mercy, they really went above and beyond to be there for me. Yeah, after hapo daktari akambia, because mimi nilikuwa nadhani nitafika kuniambia daktari, si nitunge tu insulin. Right? Like just inject insulin and then give me medication and then I can go back home. But that's the mistake. This is where God comes in. If I had injected that insulin, I would have died. I would have died. My situation would have been extremely critical, or I would have actually kicked the bucket. And that's what the doctor told me. This is something even my cousin who's also a doctor told me afterwards.
Was that to explain this scientifically? Like, meaning it happened when you inject insulin?
My ketones were high.
Ketones, umetuambia zenye ziko na acid pia.
No, the ketones ni, I don't know how to explain ketones per se. You will have to tag for video, yeah? Once you find the definition, sorry. But ketones zilikuwa juu, and that's the harmful substance. Let me just use that word. It's the harmful substance that shouldn't be in your urine, shouldn't be in your body, if anything. And remember, my blood is already acidic. So injecting insulin is only going to make the environment more toxic. So instead of helping you, it has idea to accelerate the problem that is already there. So the problem needs to first be removed, so that now they can put a remedy, which is not insulin. But you can't just inject insulin on top of already a problem that is there. No. So if the following, because the following days when I was supposed to buy insulin, hii usiku ndio nilienda hosi, nilipelekwa hosi kwa daktari.
So ni God
interrupted.
Literally ungedunga tu.
I would have been in a bad situation. So he interfered by making the situation worse in that moment to protect me from an even worse situation. So my doctor was like, you think we can't inject you insulin like that? First of all, we need to control what we need. We need to first reduce the acidity in your blood. And then there was a long explanation. I'm so sure you forgot some of the details. But I mean, I'm telling you, do anything, you may go bad.
So that's how I ended up. Akaniambia, first of all, her case, because I would hear him talking to my mom and Mercy, asema she needs to be admitted. You hata hakukuwa na discussion. Then venye sasa waliniweka kwa IV treatment and my situation was now starting to get worse. Daktari akachange akasema this is an emergency. She needs to go to ICU. Because the ketones need to first be dropped. So after ketones could drop, sasa nikatolewa ICU nikapelekwa ward because now
Sasa for the insulin.
Yeah.
So it take how long like could drop the ketones?
2 days.
So
But I was still
days
they were still putting insulin in my body, but controlled. It's not supposed to happen at even nilikuwa nataka kufanya. It's controlled. Yeah. So that's how that happened.
So like your mom alisema nini about this situation? First of all, imagine umekaa 1 week bila insulin and then mama yako anakuja kuambiwa umekaa 1 week bila insulin.
Oh, she was furious.
Kwa ICU.
Oh, she was furious. I will not lie to you. She was, but she was also really loving. Like she didn't want to show me she was mad for sure. As a mom, she ought to be. But I think she was more scared for me. Because she was like, if you can't reach out to me and tell me about this, then I don't even know what you're doing in life that I can't know about. And it's funny because I tell my mom everything.
My mom was the weird part.
detail.
Najua vile mko so friendly with each other. So
Really, your best
mbona
friend.
usimpigie umwambie una insulin juice?
That's the thing, I want to worry her. I think it's that level of love where I want to protect her from what's harming me. And which is
But unajua inafaa kuwa vice versa.
I know, exactly. So maybe in my mind I'm like, I'm protecting you from what I don't want you to be worried about. That's the idea. So of course I apologized to her and everything. She didn't take it badly. She was just more worried than mad, if anything. Because I explained to her how I did treat. So akaelewa is the adulting in me, the independent lady kind of thing. It's not even a positive one when I'm using the situation. But she kind of understood the process. So akaniambia, no, please reach out when you're struggling and let me know where I can help.
So I decided bado reach out. Rujata watch video.
I know. So right now,
reach out like
no, but it's because God has already provided a means for me to take care of it. I had a really,
Okay.
I was telling my,
unasema like ikiweza happen tena bado hauta reach out.
I'd find a way to handle it before I reach that level of reaching out to her.
Just
I know, but I'm working through it. But there's already,
unajua the worst part ni ati pia hauambii your friends like
see, it's because I don't want you guys to worry. Like I said, I always feel like that this condition is my burden.
ndio mimi nakuuliza.
Yeah.
Unaona ni kama tuna prefer kusikia hauna insulin ama tuna prefer kusikia uko ICU. What do you mean unataki kutu worry like which is better?
I know. Let's just say I'm working through being more open with my friends and I'm waiting for something like that. I want to say that I will reach out per se. It's a complicated dynamic. Let me just say it's a complicated
The fact
dynamic.
that it may happen twice, me personally nisha learn that how to reach out. So
I know.
sasa sisi to reach out tukuulize just uko na insulin. Hebu piga pitch.
Just to get through.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
then for sure your mom anafanya the same thing, ama?
She does. Oh, she does. She's always concerned, and I love her for it. But right now, I'm not lying. Right now, at least where I'm at, I really thank God. I'm at a point where that's already taken care of. Yeah. So chances of it happening again, unless it's an external factor that I can't control, but because of insulin, yeah. Yeah.
Trust. Anyway, the second question.
Yeah.
The 100.
Yeah, because at this point we've even lost track, right?
Anyway, nilikuwa nikuulize, there's a time umewahi mention that diabetic patients wana undergo stigmatization. Bado sioni the possibility of that. Like,
Yeah.
si feel kama for real na undergo stigmatization.
Yeah.
But naweza taka kuelewa like mbona exactly mna feel ni kama kuna stigmatization around diabetes na according to you, ume experience aje exactly?
Very good question. And it's true. Unajua, the thing about diabetes ni watu wengi you believe it's caused juu ulikula sukari mingi. It's not a serious condition.
Of which tumelearn type 1 si sukari mingi, si ndio?
No, actually hakuna yenye necessarily inakoziwa na sukari mingi because when we're talking about sugar, we're talking about carbohydrates as well. Yeah. So it's with type 1 diabetes, it has nothing to do with the way you're eating. This is something you can control. It's a gene that is in your body. So it's not about the way you're eating. Type 2 inaweza kuwa ni lifestyle and it doesn't necessarily have to involve eating. Could be your stress levels extremely high or there's a lifestyle condition that you're going through. There's always just something that triggers it. So guys, no, it's not caused by eating a lot of sugar. That's a myth. And I'm breaking it right now.
Yeah, Jumi, mpaka sahi bado my parents wako like unakula a lot of sugar, like kupunguza usipate diabetes, kama hizo.
No. You cannot get diabetes from eating a lot of ice cream and chocolate. No, really. There's something that's going to trigger that happening, but not directly eating ice cream and chocolate. So, the stigmatization around diabetes. That's where I think it comes in. Where people, no, not particularly that one. I mean, there are several aspects of it, but it comes from a point of many people believe, okay, diabetes is not like cancer, where cancer, of course, is more, I don't know how to say it. I don't want to use a word that it could just bite back in my face or has on my, I don't want to, but you can't compare these conditions because they're different, number one, and I feel like everybody goes through a different experience. But I feel like the situation with diabetes is because there's little awareness around it, and that's why many people just make assumptions about what it is, what it would be, and how it affects you and your lifestyle. In short, diabetes is not taken seriously because there's not much information around it. Until somebody close to you is affected, you really do not know much about diabetes. I never knew about it until I was diagnosed in hospital and talked about it. So people can reach that point of, you know, for example, ukinipata sasa nikikunywa juice ya milk, what will you think?
Sugars and stuff spike.
Exactly. Right?
The
first thought. The first thought that comes to people's mind is, are you supposed to be taking that? See, wewe kuna sukari.
Jumi actually nilikuwa so shocked. Nakumbuka pia kuna time yenye ulikuwa unaniwekea cinnamon tea. Ndio katamosi mzima sukari kwa draw. Na yako utakunywa pia.
Right? Exactly. So it's not just you. Most places I've been to where people have known or know that I have diabetes, especially friends, they've been concerned about the way I eat or the way maybe I take some sugary stuff, including alcohol. They're like, should you be taking that? Or should you?
But should you? Like, so that seriously, should you?
Well, according to doctors, no. According to me and other diabetics, yes. And according to science, according to technical science, yeah, it's not that bad, but moderation, and you're supposed to at least have to manage. You should at least manage your sugars well before you start indulging in such.
Okay, before to roll it back to the topic, like alcohol in affect your sugars
spiking, and zinaweza spike na zinaweza shukisha. And the problem is that they do that drastically. That's why we usually. It's actually a video I wanted to do. I wanted to buy this one. But like my mom will have to watch this one with just one eye. I don't know how she's going to. Because it's something I want to do because I want to show people how my sugars are affected when I'm taking alcohol. That way it will no longer be an assumption, it will be something you actually can see. So I want to do that with a CGM. A CGM is a continuous glucose monitor. It's a patch I wear on my arm that continuously picks or rather tests my blood sugar. Like every 5 minutes I get the data in my phone. Yeah, so it's better than
every 5 minutes.
Yeah, every 5 to 10 minutes unapata the glucose count in your body. So it's usually more efficient because now it shows you a graph of how your blood sugar is behaving. So that's alcohol. I want to
So
try
like
alcohol.
una stick a patch and then the patch is connected to an app on your phone, ama?
Yes, so the patch
So the patch usually has a sensor, and that sensor is what usually tests your blood. Actually, it tests what we call interstitial fluid. So it doesn't test your blood. Like a glucometer. A glucometer needs your blood sample to test the sugar. So a sensor from a CGM, what it does is that it tests that fluid that is just underneath your skin. It's called interstitial fluid. So that's what basically picks up on sugar, like the levels of your sugar in your blood. The
So
logic
like,
behind it?
kidogo tu.
Yes.
Ni like a fluid you're producing, ama?
Yeah, that's still also. I think it also carries like glucose. Like you can still be able to tell the level of glucose in your blood by testing that fluid. Yeah.
Okay.
That's the much I know about it for now. So yes.
To make research.
But yeah, a lot of technology is coming up around this, so it's good to at least do your research and learn more about it. I'm still learning more about it.
So many questions.
You?
But anyway.
Yeah, but we learn together either way. It's not the last time we'll talk about it. So yeah, so I want to use a CGM to test how alcohol affects my blood sugars, and that's how we'll be able to know visually with data to back it up how alcohol truly affects blood sugar, especially in diabetics. Yeah. So I wanted to also do one for a normal person. This is something maybe we can even do with you. We test a normal person taking alcohol and then a diabetic taking alcohol.
So if I patch.
So tutabidi to find a way to do it, but you don't necessarily need to wear a patch. We can just test your blood sugar every 10 minutes, so that we can align with now how my sugars are changing and then how yours are changing. So it's interesting, but that's basically what I'm aiming for. That's the goal for it.
Before tutoke hapo.
Yeah.
Like, okay, tukitest na wewe.
Yeah.
Si wewe like wewe uko diabetic.
Yeah.
Like results zenye tutapata kwako inaweza tumika na another diabetic patient, ama bodies za diabetic patients ni different.
Oh, they do
Type
differ.
1.
Yeah. They somehow do differ.
Alcohol inaweza work for you na isi work for another diabetic patient.
Not really. I feel like honestly there has to be a standard, especially for a condition that is similar. The way it affects different bodies, that is different. There's always some difference somewhere. It can't always be aligned. But there is a standard. There is how, when of course you're not producing any insulin in your blood. That's, the elements that determine this is because not all diabetics have the same insulin intake. My regimen is different from another type 1 diabetics regimen. So that can also influence how alcohol affects your blood sugar. Yeah, there's someone who has reached a point of remission, meaning their blood sugar, they don't necessarily need to use insulin all the time. They just use at a specific time in a day, and then the rest they control with either eating little to no food. There are those who don't eat food. I've talked to the type 1 diabetics who don't, like they eat 1 meal a day, which is risky. I still try to understand it, but
like ni kitu yenye doctors wameadvise ama
no,
like,
they're the
like
ones who do it
and
just carries the si haribike, but it's a guy. Nimwambia mi bro, usiniambie nifanye hivyo. He's my friend, but it's not. Like you're starving yourself so that you can control your sugars. I don't think that's sustainable, and your body is not necessarily getting the nutrients it needs in a day. So anyway, it's a long story on that side. But yes, different type 1 diabetics are affected differently by different conditions, depending on the conditions of also your body internally and externally. So I wouldn't say that it's the same for across the board, but you can easily tell like how easily blood sugars in a type 1 diabetic are affected by testing one. Yeah, so that one can be a standard.
Okay,
yeah.
Understood. Okay, so to circle back to the stigmatization among diabetes patients. So basically, ukisema stigmatization, like put under the fact that hakuna much awareness about diabetes. Like siati kuna mtu anakutreat differently juu uko diabetic. Juu personally even ndo nilikuwa nimeelewa at first like kuna a certain type of treatment yenye mnapata yenye sisi wengine maybe hatupati, more like discrimination. So like ni the same thing ama?
I wouldn't say, to be very, very honest, I wouldn't say there's as much stigma around diabetes compared to other conditions like cancer, HIV. I wouldn't say diabetes ikona that much stigmatization, but the reason There's not that much stigmatization. I'm not saying that I want it to even be there. It shouldn't, to be very honest. But you can't be afraid of what you don't know of. You can't take something seriously when you don't know how serious it is. Yeah. So most people have the idea of diabetes ni tu skari, ni ugonjwa skari. That's it. That's all they know. But they don't know the details about the signs and symptoms, the repercussions that come after maybe mismanaging your blood sugar, the complications that follow blood sugar management, the DKA part. They don't know about those things. They don't know about injecting yourself insulin on a daily, the struggles that come with the hypoglycemia, all these things. They learn of them only maybe if you're affected directly or somebody close to you is affected. They're the only people who get to know about these things. But awareness on a general scale is still very, very much low. And that's probably what is causing, I think the stigma is actually working reverse in this situation. With less information and awareness means that the condition is ignored. The seriousness is not there. The seriousness that should be there is not there. So diabetics are left either ignored or mishandled, mismanaged, or basically not taken seriously. So even when I'm experiencing a hyper or hypo, nobody will take it seriously because they don't know what that is. They're like, oh, una skari kunya tu juice soda, So they only see how serious it is when they see you injecting yourself, or they see you fainting, or they find out that you're in the hospital and you're connected to IVs. Like that's when it clicks, oh man, diabetes is really this serious. So that lack of awareness and information is what is killing diabetics, to be very honest. Yeah.
I feel pia like the fact that hakuna much awareness on it, ni kumaanisha like pia new patients, like for example sayo keza discover kona diabetes, like hauna anyone to talk to about, kwa sababu sasa like utaambia nani shida zako na mwenye unaambia pia haelewi chenye una go through. Hadi wewe mwenyewe uelewi kwa sababu hauna hiyo awareness. So pia inaweza kuwa tricky for new patients, you know.
It is, and it's so sad because most of the ones coming up nowadays are young people. Because with the content that I'm creating around type 1 diabetes, my inbox is always jam-packed like this. Like you find most of the ones who are reaching out, they're like, hi, I've just seen your content. I'm a type 1 diabetic. I've had it for 5 years. I've had it for 10 years. I've had it for these years. And I've never seen content that I can relate with. And I am struggling to balance my sugars. Most of the people who are reaching out to me, they're telling me they're struggling to balance their sugars. They're telling me their sugars are always between 15, 20, 25. I'm like, what's happening? So whenever we're conversing, you can tell that this age group ni watu wako in their 19, 20, 21, 22, like it's mid-20s, like early 20s, mid-20s. And some parents reach out to me as well, telling me about how their kids are also going through the same thing. Like they find ways to talk to them, but they feel like there's a lot they're going through that they're not even aware of. So you find that it's a struggle, especially for the young ones. And most have reached out to me and been honest and told me that they're depressed because they've never accepted the condition and they're struggling to keep up. And they feel like giving up. So you can imagine like how much that goes. They can't talk to normal people because they don't take diabetes seriously. It's like nobody cares. They don't know the details. Yeah. And I think that's why this content creation around type 1 diabetes is a calling, because it feels like God is talking to me and telling me like, show them what it's like to be type 1 diabetic, because they don't understand. You cannot tell them. They won't understand. Show them what it's like. Yeah.
Okay, so nice.
Yeah.
So the last bit of this ilikuanga advice to the new patients. Now, actually all diabetic patients.
Yeah.
You may dive a little bit into it 22 kwa hiyo part. So advice to kila mtu mwenye akona diabetes ama a new patient mwenye sai akona diabetes.
Okay, where do I begin?
Na pia kwa part of your advice nataka mention like mental health, like vile unaweza cope nayo.
Okay. I think the one piece of advice that I also exercise for myself is give yourself a little grace. Be patient with yourself. You didn't know about this condition. You didn't know anything about diabetes until you got it. You're still a student in this as well. Give yourself the grace to learn how to take care of yourself. Don't give up. And many times you will want to give up. Many times Ni mara ngapi nimekata kudunga insulin intentionally? Like iko hapo niko like I'm tired today. Not today. Like I'm tired of feeling the pain, the constant injection, because sometimes every now and then of course utasikia uchungu kijidunga nini, like it's exhausting. So be patient with yourself and give yourself the grace to learn and take it a day at a time, because it's a forever condition. Find a way to name your monster. I've not given mine a name yet, but I call it a monster. I call him a monster inside me, and I fight him every day. He's the Goliath I'm fighting. But above all, I think I would really say God. I want to say support system, but my support system goes without saying. They are there for me. I'm the one who is locking them out, and that's something I'm working on. But your support system is always there. So if you can, do find a way to lean onto them when you feel like you really need, but don't go through it alone. Nobody's meant to go. This is something my friends told me in the hospital. You're not meant to go through this alone. I mean, as much as yes, I feel alone most of the time, and I prefer going through it alone. It's not healthy. It's good to embrace help when it's given. Yeah. So I think the umbrella for all this, I would say, make God your best friend. Because I remember when I was in ICU, the second time around, one night, I think the first night, I cried in that bed and I was talking to God. I'm like, God, tuko hapa aje tena. This is the second time I'm in ICU because I lacked food and I lacked insulin. How am I suffering because of something I never even chose? I didn't choose diabetes. I was so young when this thing affected me, and of all people, you chose to give it to me. But as my God, if you're giving me such a big challenge, such a big weight and big cross to carry, shouldn't you be here with me, providing me with all that I need? Like, I cried to him that night, not to bash him or anything. Remember, when you're talking to God, of course, there's a lot of respect. And I still had faith in him, but I was so heartbroken because I felt like he abandoned me. But when I talked to him when I was in the hospital, I told him, God, please, let me never end up in such a situation ever again. Acha ni struggle ka binadamu wa kawaida na mambo ingine. Hiyo ni normal. It's normal for life to go topsy-turvy for everyone. But let it not be that my struggle is coming from the condition. Like I'm lacking insulin and food. Let it not come from that. Let this be a mission you're giving me to carry on. But let it not be that it's the very thing that is weighing me down. Use me and use it inside me to do something for your glory. But don't let me struggle because of food and insulin. That's the basic. Like I shouldn't have to struggle because of those ones. And let me tell you, Getty, ever since that time, I haven't. Because of food and insulin. Jesus atakubali happen aje? It hasn't happened, and it's not going to happen again in Jesus' name, because I left that.
Food, insulin, na avoid joke. Sio ndio around the same time when so ulianza create content ya.
Yeah. Because now I remember it's actually remarkable, because I remember after that situation happened with ICU and I got discharged, I started having visions of a calling. And I kept pushing it away kidogo because I've always been reserved about the condition. I mean, I've written a story about it and I've shared it occasionally here and there, but I've only done it in very reserved way. But me putting myself out there in form of content, like I have a whole brand around type 1 diabetes, that is not something I wanted to ever do. So I remember consulting my mom and telling Mom, I think God is talking to me. I think there's something about diabetes that he wants me to do. I don't know how I'm going to do it, and I'm scared to do it. My mom kaniambia, but you're made for this. You've lived with this for 12 years. God didn't take you to study journalism for no reason. He didn't take you to work with all these great people who create content, who know how to talk, who know how to edit or do all these things for no reason. What if all these things that you've been doing from Capital FM to Standard to Nation Media Group, like what if God was just molding you to be a brand, to represent whatever this is? Because honestly speaking, 12 years, you've learned a lot more about diabetes that even many other doctors out here know or don't know. So So there's something in you God has, and this is the time now. That's where you're being nudged. This is where you're being called right now. And he took you out of these other workplaces so that you can be in a space now where you can be able to carry on this calling. So that's how that started. That's how now I opened up to creating content about type 1 diabetes. And let me tell you, when you know God has anointed your path for something, things just always work out and always align. Get you the numbers that started coming in when I started talking about type 1 diabetes.
Nimeipitia comment section, like ilikuwa so deep, unaona tu everyone, like especially mothers, like nili notice like kuna a lot of mothers kwa your comment section. Kila mtu ako like, my son amepata diabetes, sijui nianze wapi nini, na like and I feel like unasaidia a lot of people out there.
And I'm actually grateful to God, like, because even when I create this content, I'm still doubtful. I'm still questioning my ability to do it. I'm still, because I remember I was talking to Mercy and I was telling her, I'm scared because I don't know how much I should reveal to the world about this condition and about myself. Because essentially talking about the condition and revealing the truth about it means me being vulnerable about my true experiences. And who wants to be vulnerable on social media? I know, like it's so difficult. There was that conflict I was having with myself, and I was being honest with Mercy and my mom and telling them like, I don't know how much I should be able to reveal. But the advice man told me like, just talk to God. Ask him how he wants this to come out. It's not about me. Even when I'm doing this content, in my mind, I'm always keeping it that it's not about me, it's about somebody out there. Even when I'm creating it, it's not about my story per se. There is something God is using that is inside of me that he wants to use to get to people out there. There's somebody or some people who really need something that I have. I don't know yet. All I know is that I wake up, I choose to create content. That's all you know. But there's something in it. I feel like there's a force, like there's just something so strong and powerful in this, and I can't explain it, and I'm also excited to see what happens in the future. But so far, I love seeing that many people are warming up to the content. It's encouraging. Yeah.
Wow, anyway.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best. Like,
thank you.
I really hope like kutakuwa na a lot of people when you wanna change their lives. Ama hata kama tu ni moja. Unajua like ina sound like ni such a difficult path. But hata kama like kuna one person mwenye ana watch content yako na ana feel like unamsaidia, hiyo ni a huge thing, like hiyo ni a big milestone.
That is enough for me.
Ni more than enough, like mtu tu kuwatch I feel like umemsaidia. Juu nimeona like kuna post a lot of stuff zenye mtu hadi angefikiria like
kama ya tattoo. Ulionanga ya tattoo?
No.
There's a comment where someone asked me like, how did you get a tattoo when you're diabetic?
Kwani ni wrong?
No, I think there's ni misconception around that ukiwa na terminal condition then you should not be doing risky stuff like this. I don't know why. I'm not so sure why.
Sioni ikiwa wrong at all.
Exactly.
Like, sioni vile inakuwa affected.
Yeah. So many people ask so many weird questions, including about relationships. There's one where I was asked about
relationship.
Yeah. Kuna rejected.
About marriage. Actually, kuna ingine niliona mtu alikuwa anaparakisha uolewe.
I remember why.
Role.
Because of complications.
Harakisha uolewe and then get
a baby before complications start. But I was like, no.
I loved the response. Like,
thank you.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I wish you all the best.
Thank you.
Na for the viewers, tunaweza kupata wapi? Like tunaweza watch wapi content? Utaanzisha YouTube channel soon about it. Maybe a podcast on Spotify or anything of the sort.
So about creating long form content, not yet. I feel like that's something, it's in the works, it's something I'm thinking about, but for now I'm sticking to Instagram and TikTok, and you can get me under the name of T1D with Josie, that's on IG. And on TikTok it's Josie Njoroge. Yeah, I think I'm even forgetting how I've called myself because I remember rebranding it. But okay, type Josie Njoroge, you'll find me. So all my content around type 1 diabetes is on there, and still more to come actually. And I'm excited to see what happens and what unfolds. Yeah.
Na pia like ulikuwa na podcast unaona go back to it soon ama?
Oh, absolutely.
Ndio kama uta go back pia uambie watu.
Oh yeah.
Wakutafute.
So I'm also a podcast host. I'm co-hosting with my bestie Masi Simiu, and it's called Sisterly Spill Podcast. Inakwanga ya moshene most of the time actually. So inakwanga to your stories, but it's a really great podcast. We talk about productivity, self-improvement, and we also try to generalize anything and everything to do with adulting. So yeah, we are looking forward to popping back soon. We don't know when exactly, I wouldn't want to promise, but we have already good content on there, so you can go check us on Spotify at Sisterly Spill Podcast. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me. This was so fun.
And then
nilikuwa
aska, but anyway, I'm actually here to tutaifanya tu off camera.
Okay.
But thank you for coming. If possible tutashoot part 2 depending on the comments, maybe kama watu watakuwa na questions about vitu zenye umeongelelea.
Yeah.
And then tunaweza organize maybe a part 2.
Absolutely. I'm down. Call me whenever.
Thank you. Now that will be all from us. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe, like, comment, ask your questions. Like I don't follow tu kwa DM yake on TikTok. Like go crazy.
Yeah.
Bye.
We are done. Thank you so much, John.
You how long hiyo ya mwisho?
And 22 minutes.
Ooh. Keep time. Yeah. Hata niko like wait. Alafu unajua unaanza kuwa inquisitive. The more you go, the more questions pop. Yeah.
Like hadi viewers hawata